The United Nations Development Programme and African leaders recently launched the Timbuktoo initiative, which aims to transform Africa's innovation landscape with $1 billion in seed capital. And that will be through cutting-edge technology and innovation hubs. Well, Ethan Tashabia caught up with Professor Yemi Osinbajo, immediate past Vice President of Nigeria and the guardian of the Timbuktoo Africa Innovation Foundation, at the just concluded Africa CEO Forum in Rwanda's capital, Kigali. Now, they discussed the initiative's impact on African startups and the gap in the international financing architecture. Take a look.
And I think the point that the summit makes is that we're actual players. And one of the very important points also is that we're also creating an African table, and we're inviting the world to participate at that table. So it's not just about being participants, active participants in global discussions or global activity. We're also saying that we also have an agenda, and we want the world to come to that table. Timbuktoo is the largest single financing facility that blends catalytic and commercial capital to support innovation in Africa, to support innovation ecosystems in Africa. Now that's huge, because what we're saying is that in many senses we're saying there's no need for African startups to look elsewhere. And we're saying that when it comes to fruition, when it comes to full activity, Timbuktoo will be able to provide the financing for most of our startups, hundreds of thousands. We're looking at hundreds of thousands, we're looking at 100,000 in the first place, and then, of course, multiplied in so many ways.
And that's one of the topics actually that you touched on that was mentioned by the president of Kenya, is the restructuring of the financing. And I see the Timbuktoo initiative coming to address that. Now, help me understand, in your own perspective, there are repeated calls for global finance restructuring to further developing countries, especially Africa. According to you, is the problem the lender or the continent over reliance on debt?
No. You see, the point is that everybody relies on debt. The whole world relies on debt. The most developed countries in the world rely on debt. Some of the most developed are the greatest debtors. That's how it works. Credit is the lifeblood of economies everywhere. The problem we have in Africa is that we are, as it were, being punished for seeking credit, because we're borrowing at much higher than all the other, especially the global north. We are borrowing at much higher. And then, of course, because you are borrowing at much higher, your debt overhang becomes even greater. So if you are borrowing at higher, of course, it means that if you run into debt, you are going to pay more. So we're paying even more for borrowing the same amount of money. And part of it is a funny perception, and I say funny because it's not true. A funny perception that Africa is a risky place to do business, which is just, in my view, convenient for those who prefer to use the credit that should have come to Africa. But in reality, that's not true.
So the problem is the lender?
The problem is the lender, essentially, because the lenders, and they're not just a lender, because we're looking at an ecosystem. So it's not just, it's a financial structure that is designed in such a way as to disadvantage Africa. And that's unfortunate, because we had never in the past been at the table. We're not there at Bretton Woods when those financial institutions were designed. We were not there, So it wasn't designed for us. It was designed for countries that were at the table at that point, and we were just appendages, as it were.